Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome, everyone, to the side quest for this month's BARF, Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends. For Respawn Aim Fires series, I've already lost track of what words I've said already. Welcome. We're the Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming Podcast, where 5 lifelong friends gather to talk to you about video games. I'm Chad Michael Innes. We've got Holden DePardo with us as is. Say
Hi.
Holden. I just said say Holden. It's a night, y'all. And I'm
Holden.
excited for Avengers later. We've also got Dallas at HeelSmitty on Twitter. Say hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Very good. You follow instructions very well. And then we've got Alex Cozy Bear Cozina at what's your Twitter? I forgot.
It is Alex Cozina. And I got to say, I did not take enough notes this time, so I am freaking out.
No worries.
Sorry. I have literally like 5 things to say about this, but I figured I'd just jump on the little podcast.
We just want to hear your voice and see your smiling face.
Oh, thank
man.
you.
We both that applies to both of you. That applies to both of you.
Okay, I just want to be
We're
sure.
gonna make this one a quick one because I would like to go see Avengers the extended version tonight before Spider-Man comes out on Tuesday.
Is that only this weekend?
No, it just starts this weekend.
Okay, so I can go see it next weekend because I have no time
I don't
to see
know.
it this weekend.
I don't know.
should
I
probably
thought
go
it was
see
I
only
can look at a
this weekend.
schedule. I don't even know. I can just look at showtimes.
You can. That's
That's
Fandango
possible.
exists.
Holden, we should go see it together.
Yes, I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, you guys
we
absolutely
go-
can.
Mandate.
I'm
Absolutely. Switch your theater. You go to the showcase in Warwick and
I
Mall.
usually only go IMAX, but I don't know if it's shown in IMAX.
Hell yeah.
So I'll go.
If it's showing
New one
IMAX,
is not
I'm
in
down
IMAX.
for that.
I don't think it is. I think Toy Story's still there. We took
Yeah,
my
Toy
son
Story
there.
has IMAX.
yeah, I need to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
around
that
to
makes
watching
sense.
Toy Story 4 as well.
Also
good.
really good.
All right.
It was
good to hear.
beautiful. It's so good looking. It's insane.
Yeah,
How
that
did
is
your
what
son
I will
like
say.
it?
It's really good looking.
How did your son like it?
He fucking went ape shit, dude. It was the best thing to watch. It was fucking incredible. That's what I live
terrified
for.
of the
That's what I
dummies?
was telling my life. I was like, I live for these moments now to see how much enjoyment my son gets out of things. Like that's the only thing that
That's
brings me
awesome.
joy now. Not the only thing, but it's just as being a parent, it's just fucking
It's like when you get to like the I Am Your Father scene in Star Wars, you're just looking at your son like, what's he gonna?
great. I can't wait for him to see that.
Can confirm. All right, let's talk about Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 was our game of May and June, since it was a lengthy one. And we are going to be playing Titanfall next month. But this month we played Borderlands 2, and I was the only one who's played Borderlands 2 previous to this, of the 4 of us.
Right.
And you guys are all new to it. Alex, you're not new to the series, though. You've played, which one?
Tales from the Borderlands.
Tales from the Borderlands.
Yes.
That is also a very good
I'm glad
game.
I got that right, because before we went live, I was like, yeah, I played Borderlands pre-sequel. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. Indeed. It is Tales from the Borderlands,
Everyone-
the Telltale
everyone in the
game
comments.
series. Yeah.
Shout at Alex for being a liar.
Just want to mention, last I checked, Tales from the Borderlands still on digital storefronts. So if you haven't gotten it yet, I can highly recommend it. So please go and get it, because who knows, might be removed, as is the case with Minecraft Story Mode and many of Telltale's other games in recent months.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but it is again very very great game and free for a lot of people if you have like PlayStation Plus, I think. So
Yeah.
no excuses.
Yeah, it is. Technically, I do have it then. Yeah.
And then Dallas, you played a little bit of Borderlands 1.
Yeah, I think I don't even remember. I just remember
There you go.
playing a Borderlands game. It wasn't it wasn't exactly what I played with you guys with this one, but I don't think I played like the first mission with you guys. So
Oh no, you definitely did not play the first mission.
So I don't remember.
Let's talk a little bit about Borderlands 2 from like a critical reception and release thing first, and then we'll jump into our experience. A couple of things I pulled from Wikipedia. I just wanted to mention it is a follow-up to 2009's unexpected success of Borderlands. The developers were not expecting it to be that successful, and it sold between 3 and 4.5 million copies. The original did. So the second one, they were like, oh, sold that much? Well, I guess it's a no-brainer for us to do it. So, on September 18th, 2012, Borderlands 2 was met with critical acclaim. The PS3 version currently sits at a 91 on Metacritic. The Xbox 360 and the PC version are at an 89. The game was praised for its humor, its world structure, and its role-playing systems. Game Informer gave it a 9.75 out of 10 and called it one of the most rewarding gaming experience of the current console generation. Since its release, it's sold over 20 million copies is the best-selling game in the history of 2K games. And it was nominated for Game of the Year at several major outlets and was nominated for 5 awards at the 2012 Spike TV Video Game Awards, including Best Shooter, Best Multiplayer Game, Best DLC, Best Xbox 360 Game, Best PS3 Game, and 3 characters were nominated for Outstanding Character Awards as well. Can you guess which 3?
It had to be Claptrap, one of them, right?
Claptrap was one of them. Yep.
Handsome Jack.
Handsome Jack was another.
And then what about that little crazy girl?
Tina.
Tiny Tina.
Tiny
Yep.
Tina?
Those were the 3. You
All right.
nailed it. Dallas
I got all of
nailed it.
them. I experienced all of them in the first. In that first.
He has
playthrough with you
Wikipedia open right now. He's cheating.
guys. Did my homework. It's not cheating.
That's right.
That
You
is
came
not
prepared. So that's just a little bit about setting the stage for Borderlands 2, why it's relevant, why we chose it a little bit for people who hadn't played it before. And then, of course, Borderlands 3 coming in September. So that's another good reason to play it. I wanted to start with, I guess, Holden. Since you've had no experience with Borderlands whatsoever, let's start with you and then work our way up to people who had the most experience with it.
All right, I'm going to be the Debbie Downer here. I really didn't like it. I really didn't. I say the fun part about it is you get to play with your friends and you get to talk with your friends and hang out with your friends. That's the great part of the game. Everything else in the game felt like it was in contrast to that. Like they wanted to tell you this really cool story, but I can't hear the story because I'm talking to you guys in the party chat. I don't really have an idea of who Tiny Tina really is because it was just a moment where we were talking, waiting for her to do something before we can move on to the next mission and just start shooting stuff again. And I just kind of felt like for what it was going for, I didn't feel like it did that for me. And I'm excited to get back to like playing like next month is Titanfall 2. I'm excited to do that with you guys because it's a game that's a little bit more mindless and I can just play and shoot and talk to you guys and not be like, I'm missing something here. And I just constantly felt like I was missing something because it wants to be this co-op game where you talk to your friends while telling you this cool story of the crazy characters. Your friends should be the crazy characters. And that's kind of how, I don't know, like, is it a bad game? No, it's not a bad game. The art style is really, really good. I really enjoyed the environments. Yeah. They're really varied. They're really unique. And there was an excitement of like, ooh, I'm at a travel gate. I really am curious what this next place is going to look like because they will kind of surprise you. They're pretty unique places. But then like and this is a very common complaint. Chad's already told me Borderlands 3's fixed this, but man, if you are just a level below the current mission, it will massacre you to a degree that feels honestly unfair. Like it takes enemies about a bazillion bullets to kill you, but it
Dallas
takes one
knows all
asshole
about it.
with a rocket launcher to destroy you, and he's like, I couldn't have done anything about that. There's nothing I could have done.
I'll take partial blame for that
Yeah.
because I definitely spent a couple of sessions going out and grinding in between us playing together, and I expected that that would be helpful because I would be able to help carry the rest of the team, and in fact, that ended up not really being the case.
No, but that's not your fault because you had really good intentions, and that's totally logical, and the game didn't account for that. And that's just bad systems.
Yeah.
in the
Bad
game.
design.
Yeah. So Alex, I appreciate that you're thinking about the whole group. That's like what you should be doing. Like, hey guys, I'm gonna do
busted
better
my
so that I
ass.
can help the team out, and like we can just mow enemies down. But unfortunately, it has the reverse effect, and it's just.
Holden, did you play it by yourself at all? Did you play any missions alone? The opening?
There was one night where Chad wasn't available, and then Alex came in pretty late, so that I got at least like 2 hours in there by myself.
Yeah.
But I really only played with you guys.
Yeah, so for context, this was if you're a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/respawnandfire, you can play along with us. And you guys, so Alex played, I think you played every single night with us, yeah? You played all the main missions with us?
Even that one night where I came in super late, I still got in a mission. So,
Yeah. And then Dallas, you started at level 1. We were like level 20 something.
Yes.
And you just jumped in, played with no shields, the starter weapon, and you got up to like level 16 by the end of it.
At dudes like basically the whole time, just trying to stay as far back as possible, not die as much. But I mean, I echo Holden's sentiment completely. It's not a bad game, but it's not the kind of game that should be have such a deep and good story, but focus on the co-op part. Like the only thing I can think of is Destiny, where Destiny kind of forced you to play through those first core story missions on your own, so you could kind of get that lore and that story and get involved and really have that atmosphere set in and then go on and enjoy a co-op experience. I don't know if this game allows that or even if it forces that, because like I said, I jumped, like you said, I jumped in late with you guys. So
I think it's a really good point. That's a really good point.
I mean, other than that, I don't want to just compare to Destiny totally, but the gunplay.
It's hard not to.
Right, because especially that's the only really, I don't know, kind of shooter in that style that I played, I guess.
But one of the very few. Borderlands was the first looter shooter,
right?
And then Destiny is like the next natural evolution of that.
Yeah, I played the more grounded ones like Ghost Recon and stuff like that. Which isn't really considered a looter shooter, but it's a co-op experience and stuff like that. But I just it was. I don't like the fact that you can't like upgrade your items. You know what I mean? It was always just like, oh, here's a new gun. It's a little bit better than the one you have. The gun that you enjoyed playing with, it's trash now.
Yeah.
So that kind of game mechanic to me is always kind of lackluster. Leaves a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. So, but other than that, I thought the characters were great. That tiny Tina thing was hilarious.
Very strange.
Claptrap, hilarious. So
yeah, Claptrap was really funny.
But like you said, it's tough to experience all that when you're bullshitting with your friends.
So it's all of our fault.
Yes, Chad, it's your fault.
I should have just played it all by myself, is what I'm saying.
It's our fault for being so affable. See what they're affability is. That's our other podcast. Listen to it. Yeah. Alex, tell us a bit about your experience.
Yeah, so, as mentioned at the top of the show, I played Tales from the Borderlands. And originally, the only reason why I played Tales from the Borderlands, I was racking my brain earlier to remember why did I play it, is because it was an easy platinum trophy. This was back during the early days of Kind of Funny's kind of like growth, where the Kind of Funny forums were a big thing. And one thing that they used to host on the forums were trophy wars in honor of the old trophy wars Greg and company used to do back in their days at IGN. And so it's like, all right, for this entire month, you have to get as many trophies as you can. And they're all weighted different amounts and whatnot. And so I'm like, well, what are like the quickest, cheapest, easiest, but also still most enjoyable platinums I can get through? And Borderlands 2 was one of those. And I remember, I'm pretty sure like I had gotten it free through PlayStation Plus. So I played through it and I'm like, Tales from the Borderlands. And I'm like, oh, this is, these characters are all really cool. This art style is great. There's, a lot of really strong writing. And I gradually over the years picked up copies of all the other Borderlands games that had been released up until that point in like bargain bins and whatnot. But I never got into the main series just because there was always something else grabbing my attention. And like as much as I enjoyed those characters in Tales from the Borderlands, I wasn't so enamored by them that I was like felt incredibly motivated to play as them. And so when you guys announced, hey, we're doing our BARF game for this month and it's going to be Borderlands 2, I was like, cool, this is a great opportunity to jump into it. And I really liked it. But thinking about it in retrospect, I think that some of the criticisms that you guys had about it do ring true. Namely, Holden, you and D. Smitty, you pointed out the issue of you not really being able to kind of grasp what's going on in the story when you're playing, because you want to kind of chat with your partners that you're currently playing as, but then they have this really elaborate and lively dialogue that's going on in game, and how it feels kind of mismatched with each other. I definitely, like earlier I mentioned that I grinded a fair bit in the game in between our play sessions. I would say that those sort of grinding sessions were definitely motivated, at least in part, because, I wanted to kind of experience some of this story stuff without any distractions around me. Other than, but I do really kind of want to stress that I did enjoy it. I think that this game is, if video games, I'm pretty sure I've said this at some point in our previous play sessions, but if video games had a chicken finger or a buttered pasta, this would be it. Like, it is, like, it's the kind of food that, like, their parents take their shitty baby to, like, a sushi restaurant.
Their shitty baby.
And the shitty baby's like, I don't want sushi, I want buttered pasta.
Parents take their shitty baby.
That is absolutely true. I had the pickiest. My brother's the pickiest eaters, and then my parents had to do that with them all the time.
That's awesome.
Like, I mean, this
amazing.
game, I feel like it kind of ticks. Like, all right, let's all come back to earth. Let's all.
I'm just imagining the waiter at the
now.
restaurant being like, "Excuse me, you can't bring
Audience,
your shitty
please
baby
come
in
down.
here."
Let Alex speak.
Look, this game, it has a lot of it kind of checks a lot of boxes. It has a lot of humor. It has a lot of loot grinding. It has a lot of experience point upping. It has a lot of very kind of exaggerately built characters. Much like buttered pasta or chicken tenders. It maybe isn't the most high class food, but it is impossible to mess up. I don't know. Can I swear, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope so.
In that case, I'll
Please.
redo that line. It's impossible to fuck. All right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is there any open world aspect of this game where you don't have to do a mission, kind of like how Destiny is? I don't know if you played Destiny, but where you could just kind of go around and they have open world events and stuff like that? Or is it all storyline driven quest stuff like
It's
that?
pretty story driven.
Yeah, this was much earlier than
Right.
Destiny. Destiny kind of opened the door to a lot of that stuff in the shared world. Well, aside from MMOs, but having those shared world experiences.
Right.
In a shooter, at least.
But I will say, on the subject of there being arguably too much story in Borderlands 2, I played a little bit of the Destinies when they came out, Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and in those games I found myself really kind of repulsed by, at least what I played of them, the lack of story that they had. And it's I don't really know kind of what the middle ground is there for that then. Playing Borderlands 2, it's there is a little bit too much going on here. I would like to be able to kind of sit back and make up my own narrative, but I also don't want to be given nothing.
Right. Yeah, I think Destiny 2 did a better job with the opening of the story. Obviously, once that main storyline kind of ended, the solo playthrough area, it just, I haven't played any of the newer updates, but it definitely lacked more content. But it was always fun. The thing about that game was the hook, the gameplay, the gunplay, and the hook just drove me to keep playing. And then that was a game that I got involved with a couple of my friends, and we just would do all these stupid open world things with the strikes. I never got into the raids or anything like that, but it always had a fun loop, and it allowed you to have that hangout session with your friends and stuff like that. So that's
Did you guys ever spend a couple of good hours sitting in front of the loot cave just shooting into a black hole?
Nah, never.
I did.
Did you? You
Yep.
would. You fucking would do that.
I think the shooting mechanics in Destiny are also far stronger, which kind of helps you
Right.
want to keep going back into it.
Like Chad said, I mean, that game is how much older than Destiny is.
Yeah.
Hopefully Borderlands 3, is a little tighter, and I'm sure they'll, that game looks amazing.
I'm
will
sure they'll
definitely
make
play that game.
improvements to Borderlands 3 for the shooting mechanics, but I don't think Bungie can be matched
No, true.
with Destiny.
That being said, I will also say that, well, obviously, maybe the specific shooting of the guns isn't necessarily as good as something like Destiny. There is definitely a lot more variety and surprise to a lot of the guns. I'm sure, Chad, you remember our little screaming little gun that we employed a fair bit in the final battle. Or, for example, being all right, time to reload this gun. Oh, wait a minute. I reload it by throwing it at the enemy, and now it becomes a grenade. There's a lot of
I got that.
There's
too.
a lot of
That's
kind of
cool.
randomness and kind of moments of surprise like that. So that is cool. Not saying it makes up for the better gunplay, but that is a point I wanted to point out.
I do remember the day when you equipped that gun and you were
right.
is anyone else hearing that voice? Someone making fun of me for reloading or something like that? And you're just are you guys hearing that too? And it's dude, I think it's your gun. I think your gun's making fun of you for reloading.
Yeah, this is a different gun that basically would make fun of you every time you would reload or do anything with it. It's well, at least you're not missing those enemies while you're reloading me and stuff like that.
So my experience is I've played this game so many times. I own it on 5 platforms. I agree with a lot of your sentiments that yes, the story is difficult to kind of digest for a couple of reasons. One is because you're playing it with your friends, especially if you're playing it with like more than just you and a friend in the same room, and you can like visually agree, hey, let's shut up for a second and listen to this cutscene. That makes it hard, but also almost all of the greatness of the development of these characters and the story comes through either like radio communications or dialogue that you get at the beginning of a quest, or from like a radio that you pick up in the middle of the land. Like, and that stuff is so easy to ignore.
Right.
Whereas I think if it were like a proper cutscene, it would be a lot harder to pay attention to, or to ignore, and you'd be more prone to pay attention to it.
Yep.
I'm a little bit spoiled because I've played it so many times that the first time I ever played it was on 360 with a buddy of mine named Tom, and we were both in the same room playing co-op on the same screen. And so like anytime that something did come up story-wise, we were like, hold on, let's listen to this real quick, and then we'd laugh our asses off at whatever they were saying. And then I have tried to play it. I've only beaten it. I guess this was my third time beating it. But I've started it a ton of times, and I've gone through a bunch of different missions. So playing it solo, I've listened to a lot of this stuff because I didn't have anyone else to distract me. And that's where I think all of the richness of this world comes in. And that's where you see like the character awards for Claptrap and Tiny Tina and Handsome Jack. It's just like the brilliantness of the dialogue, which is a big change from Borderlands 1. They changed up the entire writing team for Borderlands 2. I'm very much looking forward to Borderlands 3 to change some of the mechanics, like the loot, being able to... Part of the big problem is, like, a monster drops a bunch of shit, and then we all race over there.
Everyone's fighting over it.
Everyone's fighting over it, or one person picks up everything and nobody else even knows anything dropped, and then...
Or like me, where I was 10 levels below, everybody was nothing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
where you can't literally use anything.
Or like, I'm low on health. Let me get that health quickly. God damn it, Chad! You just stole that from me. Like, I needed that health. I was running towards it. That happens so many times.
Yep. So that's definitely something I'm definitely looking forward to in Borderlands 3. That new loot system. Everybody gets their own instance of the loot. It's leveled to them correctly, and that's going to be really great. And then the scaling, where no matter what level you are, the enemies are scaled to you, and the damage you do is proportional to what other people are doing as well. I think that's going to be such a good idea. This game, I don't think lends itself well to solo play, which is why I made the requirement when we played it that you have to play it with, like, we have to do the story missions together. Because the second win mechanic is really, really great for, like, if you do die in battle, you can have that chance to revive yourself. But it happens often enough that you don't have someone there to revive you, and you die, and you have to go back to the respawn point. That, like, the pacing when you play it solo is just, it's a little too monotonous. Dying and going back and dying and going back. So definitely do recommend, if anyone else hasn't played and you're listening to this for some reason you plan on playing, play with friends, because that revive mechanic is going to be very important. But yeah, all the characters were unique. I really enjoy that there are so many different ways to play the same character as well. Like, even Alex and I were playing the Necromancer. We both played the same Necromancer character. Gage, yeah. And I went a route where, like, I put all of my points into a system called Anarchy, where like I get progressively less accurate, but my bullets do so much more damage the more enemies I kill. And then Alex went a route that seemed like you were powering up your
best friends
your
forever,
mech more,
as it was called.
Yeah. So I do love that within each character, there's still a ton of different ways you can customize it, and you're not like locked into that. At any time, you could go to the character creation station and just swap all your points around, which is pretty cool.
Did you have to pay for that? Was there
you just
cost?
Pay, whatever. It's like a portion of your, it's like 10% of your money or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I was
really cool.
impressed by the skill tree system. There was a lot, I didn't get to dive really deep into it, but there was quite a few things that I was impressed by. I forgot which guy I was playing. The guy that dual wields.
The Gunzerker. Yeah,
I
dual
wish I
wield the
picked him.
guns.
Yeah,
Holden, you chose the most boring one, and then you didn't even use his shit most of the time.
I usually just pick the commando character because I want to just do the shooting.
Right.
If I wanted to do fantasy stuff or sci-fi like elements to it, I'd play like a different game.
Oh.
All right.
That's just my opinion.
So, a question for you guys: Does any of this experience turn you on or off to Borderlands 3 coming out in September? I know I'm definitely going to be playing it.
Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead, Alex.
You sure?
Yeah.
You sure?
Let's go.
All right.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to turn into a bit, but you were like, you shut me down really fast. You're like, no, keep going. All right. I am, although I will say, actually, what appeals to me a lot about Borderlands 3 is, in fact, some of the weird story stuff. Like, they seem to be kind of like taking into account some of the sort of like more far out reaches of Borderlands 2's lore and really kind of running with it and kind of expanding it out, at least based on what I've seen so far of Borderlands 3. And like one thing that I kind of found kind of charming about this game is kind of as I was playing it, slowly realizing like, hey, this whole series is quietly like one of the more, I don't really know a word to describe it, but like so often when we play through like video game sequels, it can be frustrating to see characters or events that were featured in previous games not end up being referenced. And in this series, I was like, oh wow, this character from Tales of the Borderlands is also featured in Borderlands 2, and that connects to this thing in Borderlands, a pre-sequel, and that connects to that thing in Tales from the Borderlands. Like, there really is a lot of love and care paid to making sure that there is a really strong sense of continuity to the characters and events that transpire in these games. And I'm looking forward to Borderlands 3 because based on everything I've seen, it seems like they are going to continue to give all that stuff its due. They're not going to just sort of like abandon some of these things or kind of like act like some of these things didn't exist or downplay them, which you sometimes see happens in sequels.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most fleshed out worlds and lore that I've seen in a game. There's something like 12 DLC packs for Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
And each one goes super in depth. Like there's a Tiny Tina pack. There's a Hammerlock
Did they
pack.
just
There's a
release
Moxie
one?
pack.
Right. Okay. So
And they just released another one.
I completely forgot about that as I was saying that. Yeah, they just released a DLC pack where, I mean, yeah, it provides some additional hours of play. It'll obviously earn Gearbox a fair bit of money when it is no longer free. But like that DLC largely exists just so that it can set up the stage for the story of Borderlands 3. And one of the characters that is prominently features in this DLC, I haven't played it yet, I've just like read previews of it online, is a very prominent character in Tales from the Borderlands that has yet to appear in any of the other Borderlands games. Like that, when I read that, I was like, wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where that all goes.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me think like, shit, now I got to get caught up on all of that before September.
You got time.
Yeah.
So, will I be playing Borderlands 3? No.
Didn't see that one coming.
I think what I told Alex when we finished the game was, man, I really hated that.
Oh, damn.
So like as soon as we beat the boss, I'm like, oh, relief. Like,
Wait, so it was you two that finished? Chad, you weren't there for it?
Oh, God. It almost was just them. I was
Yeah.
playing from a hotel and the Wi-Fi cut out real shitty. We were like literally at the final boss. And then the Wi-Fi cut out, my game quit, and they got kicked out, and then they rejoined, and then it was like a good 15 minutes. I was like, you guys go on ahead, beat them without me. I'll just keep hitting this button, hoping to connect back to my PS3 again via remote play.
Yeah,
PS4.
I know this is not quite related, but it's in the same vein really quickly. But you have to talk about the fact that there were 2 weeks out of 8 where we just could not connect.
Oh, yeah.
And every time that we would go to connect, it would disconnect immediately. Or say they couldn't join the game.
Yeah, there were 2 weeks that we had, like, it was just Borderlands server errors. It was saying, hey, check your network connection, you're not online. It's like, well, obviously we're talking online right now, but the game just doesn't see itself.
Yeah, we were able to go and play another game online instead at one point. That Chad and I played like The Last of Us online because we just both happened to have that downloaded. And I just think that's worth pointing out for a game that's as old as it is at this point. It's not like it's a new release.
Right.
And 25% of the time we tried to play, we had
Issues.
it was a critical issue. It wasn't even like a small thing. It was a critical issue.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna play it. There's another game being released right around then?
Link's Awakening for Switch.
I'll be playing that for sure.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I thought there was a shooter coming out. Is that right? Wait, it's September?
Yeah.
September like 19th or something like that, but you can get it on the 11th if you buy it early or something.
Man, if there's a shooter coming out next to Borderlands, it basically just made itself irrelevant.
Right.
Like, why would you?
Is it the new Destiny content coming out in September?
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that is. Yeah.
It's tough, man, because it's those kind of games that, if I had a group of guys that want to play it together and they're dead set on playing it, I think I'd give it a shot. But it's not something that I would try and convince my friends to buy to play with me. So,
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll see. I may give it a shot. I'm not 100% in. Definitely not 100% out either. So
Gears 5 is coming out 3 days before.
I haven't played a Gears of War since 3, so
Actually, that'll be fine next to Borderlands. It's a different type of shooter completely. It's third person. Yeah, but
The Surge 2 comes out 2 weeks after it. God, I can't wait for that game.
what does?
the
The Surge 2.
Surge 2.
That was another one of our BARF games. Was
Surge
Surge
2, Surge Harder.
Surge.
That was a free PSN game too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dark Souls but with sci-fi stuff, and it's super cool.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Great. Well, it is 5 minutes from the time that I wanted to wrap this up, so I could go
Wow.
see Avengers Endgame Extended Edition. You guys did really, really well.
You're welcome,
Oh,
Chad.
you're welcome.
I'm so
The
proud of
Avengers
you.
need you, Chad.
They do.
We didn't do it for you. We
Assemble.
did it for them.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
I love you.
In all
3000.
seriousness, though, I'm gonna go see it just so that it surpasses Avatar as
Me
the
too.
number one.
That
movie.
is
Yeah.
a large reason why I'm going to go see it. I mean, it's 7
Yeah.
minutes of extra material. Part of it's a Stan Lee tribute.
Right.
But
Oh,
yeah,
Have you only seen it the one time, or
I've seen it twice.
you've seen it twice?
I've seen it one time.
You've seen it once.
I saw it once-ish, but I also may have watched bootleg recordings of the final battle on YouTube.
Fair enough. I only saw
God.
it that once too. So
The build
I
up to him
definitely
saying
seen it.
Avengers Assemble literally makes me cry every time.
It's
I'm just like, it's happening! I start crying.
It's
It's,
really
so good.
cool, but I'm thinking about it. I think that the one scene I may have seen the most is actually during Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America's initial battle with Thanos. Thor does this like series of combo moves where he's like, I'm going to shoot Iron Man with electricity, and then that causes him to shoot all these very powerful beams. And he's like, I'm going to chuck Mjolnir in the air, and I'm going to basically hit it with Stormbringer like a baseball bat, which doesn't go as well for him as he hopes it does, but it looks very cool. So yeah, thank you, Chinese bootleggers.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us for this discussion. Thanks for playing along with us this week. Again, if you guys want to play with us next month, our game is Titanfall 2.
Titanfall
Blank
2.
for just a minute.
And are you going to be playing through the campaign or just
Campaign, I believe, is single
multiplayer
player.
stuff?
So
Right.
when we if we play that on a Tuesday night, it's going to be multiplayer. And I think this upcoming Tuesday we're planning
But you
on
guys will
doing
play
that.
through the campaign on your own.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's only 6 hours, so probably
Yep.
won't
Yep.
be too
Yeah.
bad.
Cool.
All right.
I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to plug your social medias and stuff. Dallas, everyone wants to know, where do they find you?
You could just find me on Twitter, dude.
Dude, what is it? Heel
Heel
Smitty.
Smitty. H-E-E-L
Trevor-
Smitty.
Speaking of, Trevor texted me like a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, how did you and Dallas do your recordings when he was on your show?" I was like, "Oh yeah, he had 2 phones or something like that." And it's like, "Oh, okay, so yeah, I'm having where he's on for this thing. DS MIDI is going to be on." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I thought it was a typo, and then he's like, "Yeah, Dallas MIDI," and I was like, "Wait." Just so you know, his last name is Smith, which is why it's Smitty,
Smitty.
not MIDI.
No, not me.
yeah, DS MIDI.
Quick
Sorry,
funny
Trevor, to
thing
call you
is,
out like that.
I used to have an Instagram, and it was Dr. Smitty because my middle name is Richard. So everybody thought I was a doctor, which was pretty cool. Oh wow! So I might just put that in now, Dr. Smitty, so you can think I'm a doctor.
I had a very similar thing. My dad would make his profiles Brian D. D-E-E, because his last name's DePardo. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. I'm going to do Holden D. And I didn't think about what that sounded like. So I got rid of that pretty quickly.
Alex, where can people find you online?
Where can they find me? Well, let's see. They can find me on Twitter at Alex Kozina. That's AlexKozina. They can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/CozyBearLive. That's KOZIBEARLIVE. I should mention right here that we actually streamed a couple of our sessions on Twitch.
We did.
Yeah, one session sounds way better than the others because the second one I was actually listening to what was being said on the in our session together on my headphones. In the other one, it was coming out of the TV speakers, and so my mic was picking it up. So not as great as I was hoping it would be. Still, both very much worth checking out for our humor and, beautiful visages, although you can only see mine. And finally, on YouTube, you can find Gamers, which is a YouTube documentary channel that produces videos about all sorts of video game franchises with a specific focus on documentaries about canceled games and inactive video game series. But we're also branching out to more newer, fresher content as well. That is youtube.com/gamers, spelled GVMERS.
Dope.
All right.
Holden, you're at Holden DePardo.
Nope, I changed it. I'm at Holden D now.
Damn it.
No.
Yes.
No.
No, I'm at Holden DePardo on Twitter. I am at Callrye on Instagram. That is CAULRYE. And you can also catch us on Affable Idiots, which is also coming out every Thursday now. So we have it's just basically a general podcast. We just talk about whatever.
And it's so funny. It's us talking. It's just laughing. That's all it is.
I'm one episode in, and you guys laughed a lot.
We did. Great. I'm at Chad Mike Innes on everything. Finally, everything is the same. Until next time. Chicken fingers for your shitty baby.
Yeah, feed those chicken fingers to that baby, man.